A violent crime is committed every 22 seconds in the U.S. A murder every 22 minutes. A rape every 5 minutes. An assault every 28 seconds. Crime and violence seem out of control. But tonight, with your help, we'll take back our streets as Wavy News 10 presents a 10 on your side town hall meeting on stopping the violence. Joining us now live from the Wavy News 10 studios, Les Smith and Alveda Ewell.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Tonight, we will examine the problem of violent crime in Hampton Roads, but more importantly, we will look for solutions, and we will ask you to join us. Here in our studio, a panel of experts. They will help us look at the different ways crime is affecting all of us here in Hampton Roads. And in our studio audience, people who have been touched by crime in their own lives, personally or professionally. And we do want to hear from you. We're opening up the phone lines for your calls. You can call the numbers that we're going to be putting on the screen all evening, 399-7644, or toll-free 1-800-339-3018. We will be giving you those numbers throughout the course of this program.
Now, before we begin our town hall discussion, let's take a look at the problem at hand. Crime will only be getting worse before it gets better. That is, if we don't come together as a people to stop the violence.
I'm surprised, someone could get killed inside your dorm.
A deadly double shooting in a dorm room at Norfolk State University. 2 students are gunned down while sleeping.
Shamant Burrell.
Days later, police arrest Shamant Burrell and charge him with the crimes. Police are called to the 1700 block of Willoughby Avenue and find the body of Kevin Smith. He's the nephew of Portsmouth State Senator Louise Lucas. Smith is the victim of an apparent robbery attempt.
If it happens to us, it can happen to you. It can happen to anybody, rich, poor, black, white, it makes no difference.
Later, this man turned himself in to police. He's 18-year-old Marcus Moore. He's charged with murder and the use of a firearm. This 2-year-old girl barely had a chance at life before it was snatched away from her. Today, Asia Jenkins is dead, and her mother and stepfather are charged with felony child abuse. Hampton police are called to the Wythe section of the city. One of their own is struggling for his life after being shot several times while sitting in his patrol car.
Why would somebody want to shoot a police officer, somebody just out to help the community?
Kenneth Wallace, a 7-year police veteran, was only 29 years old when he was shot in the line of duty. Less than 2 months ago, Newport News police officer Stephen Rutherford was gunned down in the line of duty. He was posing as a pizza delivery man and trying to break up a robbery ring. No doubt, since these senseless acts of violence in the place we call home, many more have taken place. Too numerous to mention, yet too memorable to forget. We do have a number of special guests tonight to help us explore the causes of crime, but more importantly, to shed some light on the possible solutions. Joining us from Washington, D.C. will be Congressman Bobby Scott. Senator Louise Lucas, whom you just saw in our story, will be joining us from the state capitol in Richmond. Back here on our panel tonight, Dr. Susan Dye is a psychologist and administrator at the Center for Child and Adolescent Development in Virginia Beach, who specializes in issues involving kids and crime. Howard Gwen is the Commonwealth's attorney for the City of Newport News. Portsmouth Police Chief Leslie Martinez is also here tonight. Superintendent of Virginia Beach Public Schools, Dr. Sidney Fawcett. And joining us live from the Norfolk City Jail will be Sheriff Bob McCabe. Now, we want to let you know, too, that we did invite Governor Allen or someone from his office to attend tonight's town hall meeting, but they declined because of a previous commitment.
And in our studio audience, people from all walks of life in Hampton Roads who have been affected by one problem, the problem of crime. But as you'll see in this hour, many of them have decided to do something about it. They've organized efforts, they've banded together. You'll hear from them in the course of the next hour, and we want to hear from you as well. The phone numbers will be up on the screen throughout the course of the hour. Our lines are open. We want you to call in. We'll put you on the air. And we'll be back to begin our discussion right after this.
Still ahead, she lost not one, but 2 sons to violence in our streets.
And then it's our job that we need to go and talk to these mothers.
Now, this mother is turning her pain into action. Her story when we come back.
Welcome back. Tonight we begin with someone who knows all too well the devastating effects of crime. She lost 2 sons to crime, and then she said no more. Reporter Lisa Parker tells us how this Norfolk woman became the first of many mothers against crime.
They grew up around the drugs. They seen what it was like to OD. It was in our hallways.
In 1986, the McDonald family almost escaped the crime of New York City.
So I said, it's got to be something better for my children, younger children. So we all agreed to come back to Virginia.
But as they packed up a moving truck, big brother Derek was robbed and shot. He died on his 21st birthday.
To me, my whole life was taken away because, you know, the first child is always your heart, you know.
But more pain would lie ahead in Portsmouth, Virginia. Ironically, the place Jackie fled to escape crime. Her second son, Delvin, was killed in an argument about a car.
The same people, whatever, came back. And they got out the car, and they blowed my baby away.
Jackie couldn't bring herself to a second son's funeral.
I know some people probably say, well, she didn't go to her son's funeral, but I couldn't. Come on, Kawan, sit.
5 years later, Jackie now lives in Norfolk. Her 3 daughters are never too far from her side.
Your father had Kawan in the
They say losing a child is a mother's worst nightmare. Jackie has lived that bad dream twice. Now she's turning her pain into action.
I've been through it. Okay.
Jackie founded Mothers Against Crime. On this day, like many others, she visits a mother whose child has been killed. It's not always easy to get a grieving mother to open up.
And you know how many times you called and you didn't get me.
Right, every day.
But Jackie seldom gives up.
Pain is still here.
She helps them, and in that way, they help her.
And I said, oh, I know what that mother's going through. I know her pain. And something we can do, we got to do something.
Mothers Against Crime is now 50 members strong and growing. You don't have to be a victim to join. You just have to be committed.
Mothers got to start taking over now. We need to start winning our children back from the streets.
And Jackie McDonald is with us tonight in our studio audience. I know that it's still difficult for you to talk about this, but you have taken action. Why was it so important for you to do something?
Because I can't bring my children back, but I can do something to prevent other mothers from losing their children. And there is some kind of solution.
But so many people just say, I'm just an individual. There's nothing I can do. You know, I need the government or somebody to solve this problem for me. You obviously believe that individuals can make a difference.
Yes.
Why?
If everybody pulled together at one time, the churches, even common people, the people in the community, if everybody just pulled together and come as one in a unity, then we can do something about it.
All right, well, again, we appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you very much. She has taken an individual responsibility in doing something, but often most of us look toward the government for some action.
That's right, Les. Each year, the General Assembly takes up the crime issue, and last year, the big focus was on gun control. This year, Governor George Allen says he won't sign anything that has to do with gun control. He sat down with our Doug Aronson to outline his plan to combat crime.
I think you will make more jails to put bad people in.
Governor George Allen was quoting a grade schooler that night when he reminded the General Assembly that abolishing parole was at the forefront of his agenda.
He's been that way ever since.
To this day, Democrats want to remind him that getting tough on crime is not his idea alone.
But see, we've been working on this for a long time before George Allen ever ran for governor.
The Senate will come to order.
The crime packages that the General Assembly will consider include such measures as abolishing parole, meaning criminals won't get out of jail early.
The court is going to sentence you.
Letting juries who determine sentences know if the defendant has a prior criminal record. Lowering from 15 to 14 the age juveniles can be tried as adults. And a so-called 3 strikes and you're out bill. 3 violent felony convictions means a life sentence without parole.
So they're going to be held accountable. And
the focus is dealing with repeat offenders.
That's the point.
What do you ultimately want to do then with this bill? It is preventative, is it not?
Will abolition of parole stop all murders? No. No one in their right mind thinks it'll stop all murders and all violent crime. But those individuals who commit those crimes will be held accountable for their acts, And when the judges and juries sentence them, they're going to be out of circulation, so they're not going to be out in our streets and communities committing those same crimes again.
And how does a state short on cash pay to keep more hardened criminals behind bars? Budget cuts for one, and payments spread out over 12 years. Another Allen idea? Putting less violent criminals on electronic home monitoring. If it all goes as Allen wants it to, 1995 will be the year the anti-crime measures begin.
And standing by live now to talk to us more about the gun control issue is State Senator Louise Lucas. She is at the state capitol right now in Richmond. Senator Lucas, thank you very much for joining us this evening. You have a vested interest in this gun control issue. It's also become personal.
It has become extremely personal for me. As you all know, on February 1st, 1994, while I was here at the General Assembly, my nephew Kevin Smith was murdered on the streets of Norfolk. And so my gun control measure takes on a more personal meaning for me now. It has become more and more apparent that we need to do more to try to bring about stricter gun control laws in the Commonwealth. And while my counterparts, some on the other side of the aisle, may argue that that's not the solution, I submit to you that it is a step in the right direction. I'm also in favor of stricter punishment laws, but I also agree that we must do more to try to get these handguns off the streets, out of the hands of folks who do not understand the destructive power of handguns.
Senator Lucas, what do you think of the goods for guns issue that we've been talking about here on Wavy for quite a while?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
Well, I'm asking about goods for guns. We're talking about turning in guns.
Yes, yes. I think that is an extremely good measure, and I think if the program is implemented in our area, that it will be met with much success.
Give us an idea, too, of you're talking about gun control. You've also introduced legislation?
Yes, I have. I have Senate Bill 199, which is now pending before House Courts of Justice. Is in Subcommittee 1, and there will be one more hearing on that bill. The bill will be heard, ironically, Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. And so I will be here at the Capitol all weekend to try to make sure that this measure gets out of the committee and to the floor and passed.
All right, Senator Lucas, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, we'll be talking with Senator Lucas a little bit later in this hour. Les?
As we've said before, this is not just a state issue, a local issue, a federal issue. Everyone has to get involved, but we do want to get the federal perspective, and for that we go live to Washington, where Congressman Bobby Scott is standing by. Congressman, I don't know whether you've heard some of what we've talked about already tonight. Again, I'll point out that we invited Governor Allen or a representative to be here tonight. They declined. What is your opinion of the efforts you have seen thus far on the state level?
Well, we're having some of the same problems on the federal level that they're having on the state, and that is just a fundamental question of whether we're going to play politics or whether we're going to get serious about reducing crime. Now, you can do one or the other, but just about everything will fall into one category or the other. The idea, for example, of the three-time loser, life without parole, spends millions of dollars after the person is clearly past any threat to society. We'll be holding people at 70 and 80 years of age, spending money on the money that could go somewhere else.
All right, Congressman, we want to open up the phone lines. We have a caller who is standing by in Virginia Beach who has a question for you tonight. Caller, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Representative Scott, my main question is...
I can't hear the phone.
Okay, I'll relay the question. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, my main question is that I feel unemployment is a major problem with this country today, is that people are unemployed. And as long as people are unemployed, I mean, some of these big gun manufacturing shops, I feel, could hire some of these poor people, because we got to understand that these gun manufacturers who manufacture guns make so much money that they're going to constantly want to make guns. And you know yourself that in our country, it's all built on a Ben Franklin and a George Washington. You got to have money. That's what we were all taught from the time we're kids till we grew up. Go to.
All right, caller, thank you. Congressman Scott, the caller raised the larger issue, really, of the root causes of crime. He mentioned unemployment, but that's a complaint that I know you hear, is that people say, well, why don't you people in Washington do something about the real causes? You always talk about gun control and different kinds of measures. What is the federal government doing to address some of the root causes of crime in America?
Well, that's the fundamental debate, whether we're going to do something about crime or whether we're going to play politics. If we're going to address the root causes of crime, you're doing something to reduce crime. If you're locking people up in their 70s and 80s, or abolishing parole and things like that, which frankly would be counterproductive and overly expensive, you're not really doing anything but playing politics. We're having a debate right now in the U.S. House of Representatives as to what we're going to do. And I believe that the crime bill that we pass will have a significant impact on preventing crime, things like investments in youth development programs, drug rehabilitation, employment programs for young people. I mean, for the amount of money that there is in abolishing parole, estimated at $400 million, you could provide teen pregnancy prevention programs, prenatal care, early childhood education, recreational programs, summer jobs for everybody that needs a summer job, college scholarships for everybody who needs a college scholarship. I mean, you couldn't spend that kind of money on prevention. You'd run out of ideas before you'd run out of money.
All right,
so the caller is absolutely right. We ought to address the root causes of crime to reduce crime rather than play politics after it's too late. We are locking up, in some areas of this state, 10 times more people than they're locking up in South Africa. And to suggest that the problem of crime is we're not serious about locking people up is absolutely ridiculous.
All right, Congressman Scott, thanks very much for being with us live from Washington tonight. You discussed quite a bit about locking people up, and it's a very popular idea these days. For a perspective on that, let's go live to the Norfolk City Jail where the sheriff is standing by. Bob McCabe, what happens if we decide just to lock people up and basically throw away the key? You got room for them there?
Well, we don't have room for them, but what we have room for is we have room, I think, as a society, for those violent offenders. We probably have 200 or 300 inmates here, and we have close to 1,400 who are in here for not paying child support, not being able to pay fines and costs or whatever. And what my emphasis is on the home electronic program, work release, and get these non-violent, low-risk inmates out on the street doing some productive work, either doing community service, working for the city or whatever. And those who are in here for violent crimes such as murder, rape, malicious woundings and so forth. I think those are the ones that I think Governor Allen targeted during his campaign are the ones that we would like to see as far as the truth in sentencing. Those who commit the violent crimes, they stay in here, whether they stay in for life or whatever, that's for legislatures to determine. But I definitely think that if you get 20 years and you're out in 2 or 3 years, I don't think the public feels satisfied that that's the way they want the system to work.
All right, Sheriff, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break here. We'll ask you to stand by because we may want to get back to you later in the program. We're going to continue with our discussion right after this.
Still ahead, what leads our kids into a life of crime? And what can we do to prevent it?
You need more role models that's in the neighborhood, that it's a chance that you could be like them.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, we talked about the violence on our streets, but what about our schools? Well, they're not as safe as they once were. Part of the reason? Guns, dozens of them. Everything from shotguns to handguns. Not in the hands of the criminals, though, but in the hands of our children. All the guns you're seeing here have been found in Hampton Roads schools during this school year, but where some of our kids were very young children.
Okay, but the problem is deeper than that. It goes beyond guns. We've seen an increase in weapons of various kinds, and I want you to meet a gentleman here tonight who has a very special interest in this case. John Allen, thanks very much for being with us. For the benefit of the folks at home who are not familiar with your story, would you share it with us tonight?
My son, Javal Allen, was killed at Kecoughtan with a knife. Okay. He was stabbed.
I know right after that happened, you became very active in talking with young people in the community. What is your message to them?
My message is to just step back. They do not have to react to a reaction. They do not have to have the last word. They can give the last word. What we have seen today is no kid want to back up. They do not want to be perceived in any manner that's negative.
You find a lot of anger among young people.
I find extreme anger in them, and I coin a phrase, I'm not afraid of them, but I fear them.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, go ahead. What's your question or comment?
Yes, I'd just like to say that I think the problem does stem from the home, basically with a lot of single parents, single mothers particularly. And if we could get values on maybe, I don't know, family practice or whatever, maybe that would control the violence that's out there.
Someone who could probably speak to that question would be Dr. Susan Dye. She's saying that a lot of it starts in the home, the family values.
I think that's very true. Children learn from their parents. They learn from the behavior that they grow up around, they model behavior, and if they grow up in a violent community, they're going to learn violence as a way of life. And when they get punished for that violence, they become even more angry because they don't understand.
Dr. Fawcett, too, we were just talking about guns in schools, and it's no secret there have been guns found in some of the schools in your school system. What are you doing to set policy to keep this from continuing to happen?
Well, in Virginia Beach, the school board took the bold step forward and said we're going to restore traditional discipline to our schools. And in doing that, we've tried to clearly create for children the structure they desire so badly in their lives. One of the things that we found is that as families become more and more fractured and children have fewer parental structure in their lives, and as the church seems to have lost a lot of influence in children's lives, that the only place they seem to get that structure and they get that nurturing is at school. And so we realized that we had a problem, and we realized there was something else, and that was simply the child who comes to school with an interest in learning must have that opportunity. Safe, secure, free of disruption. And what we found since we changed our policy is our students have responded very well. And we find that we have a lot fewer guns. We find that our children are feeling safer. We find that parents are feeling much better about what's going on at school. And we find that any parent whose child is affected by the traditional discipline policy doesn't like it. So it's been a very interesting mix of the response that we've received from the community.
Yeah, a lot is actually going on in the schools to change a lot of the notions, I guess, that it's a haven for guns at this point, because we have had quite a few problems, especially this year. So I see you concur with Dr. Dye.
Let me just make this point in Virginia Beach, and I'm not going to try to speak for other school districts. We read a lot of what you just said, that the schools are a haven for guns. So we went back and we took a look at what are the statistics on violent acts, guns, weapons, drugs, alcohol, arson, those things that people really get excited about. And what we found was that 0.5% of students were involved in those types of activity at our schools, which meant that 99.95% of our kids were probably doing pretty well. And I think that what happens so often with children is we're quick to generalize one incident.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, we're going to get back to you in just a few minutes. Les? Before we go to Les, though, we would like to let you know that if you've been watching our newscast, then you probably have already heard about 10 on Your Side's Goods for Guns buyback program. It's an area-wide effort to get the guns off the streets of Hampton Roads. Programs like it have worked very well in other cities like St. Louis, where more than 500 guns have been turned over to city and county leaders since the Goods for Guns kicked off on Monday.
All right, and joining us to talk more about this is Arch Crittenden, the man who is spearheading this effort here in the Hampton Roads area. Now, I know that you've gotten a lot of phone calls. We've gotten a lot of phone calls, people wondering, well, what is this program really? Are you an anti-gun group?
Absolutely not.
Okay, what is your purpose then?
Our purpose is to try to remove as many non-essential weapons from the streets of Hampton Roads and the Wavy viewing area as we possibly can.
Okay, a lot of people say they hear no questions asked, and the comment we've heard is, well, a criminal's going to go out and steal a gun and turn it in.
We don't think so. We think we have that under control. The board will govern the guidelines on the guns that we will accept, and we believe that that will not be a factor.
Okay, a little bit of background on how it works. We've talked a lot about trying to raise money. The money that we raise then goes toward paying for the guns, right?
Well, we have gotten a lot of new ideas over the past week or so in some meetings that have taken place here at the Wavy studio with the police and with some community leaders. There's a strong move afoot now to convert some of the cash to certificates that are better suited for some of the guns that would be turned in, and we also are soliciting for some gift certificates from some of those corporate contributors.
Okay, we have a caller who has a question about the Goods for Guns program. Caller, go ahead. What's your question?
Les, thank you for your time. The reason I'm calling basically was to make an overall statement as to the violent crimes in our communities, along with the alcohol, drugs, and of course guns being a major issue, and gun control and whatnot in our national level and local level. In my opinion, guns are a weapon of choice. As Mr. Allen just spoke a few minutes ago, his son was killed with a knife. And you can take all the guns, but the violent crime is in the heart of the violent criminal. It has nothing to do with the gun or the knife. And this Goods for Gun, I think, is a wonderful idea, but I would almost bet you that you have no habitual offenders, you have no convicted felons, you have no drug dealers that are going to come in and give you any gun. What they're going to do is you're getting, and this man mentioned the fact, non-essential guns. The non-essential gun is the one that's laying in mother's dresser drawer or father's dresser drawer at home to protect the family with.
Okay. We appreciate your call, and that is clearly one of the questions, one of the many questions that you're continuing to get and we're continuing to get. We want to show you the address, however, for those of you who are interested in the program, you might want to contribute, or if you just want more information about it, this is the address. It's Goods for Guns, care of Resource Bank, P.O. Box 61009 in Virginia Beach, 23466. And we will be back with more right after this.
When we come back, a bright young man is lured into a life of crime, but turns his troubled past into a promising future.
It makes me feel good to, after so many years of taking from my community, to come back and give something back.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, we've been talking about solutions to crime, but now let's take a look at what drives young people into a life riddled with violence. Kelly Wright went behind bars for some answers.
When you were out there, before you came to prison, what kept you out there involved in a violent lifestyle?
Money.
Money?
Money.
Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't worth it. Not at the end. It's fun while it lasts, though, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. While it lasts, while it's there right there in a minute. You know what I'm saying?
How old were you when you were involved in that malicious wounding?
I was 16.
What were the circumstances?
I had shot a dude.
When you shot this guy, what was going through your mind? Did you think that this is flesh and blood?
I was wild then. I was wild. I
You were high?
I got him. That's how I was.
Oh, you
I
felt
was
you felt good that you got him?
Yeah. It's a whole different outlook now. If I could take it back, I would, but it's done now.
You live a violent life, you come to jail, you're gonna die. So all I gotta say is if you live violent, you'll die violent.
To sell drugs just to make money, and you gotta watch yourself every day. That ain't no life. A life is having a family, making a living that you can be proud of, and living every day for God, knowing that He loves you, and He's gonna be there for you.
All right, we want to tie up a couple loose ends here because Dr. Fawcett makes a very good point that the vast majority of young people who go to school are not involved in any kind of criminal or violent behavior. We have a couple folks in the audience we want to talk to about this. Go ahead, you wanted to make a comment.
Okay, my name's Margie Hill. I'm a teacher at Kecoughtan and I'm a volunteer worker at Contact Peninsula. My feeling is in working with students and young people, I see that the ones who have the problems don't really know answers. And if we make them more aware of other answers besides violence, and if we make them feel like they're listened to, if we take time to sit down and listen to students with problems, then they're more able to deal with the problems and they learn more quickly what to do besides pick out a gun or a knife and go after whoever they're angry with.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another perspective on this, particularly on the issue of violence in schools. Tell us about your situation.
Okay, my name is Sandra Brinkley, and I'm from Suffolk, Virginia. And I had a 17-year-old son at John F. Kennedy High School in Suffolk, and he was assaulted by a 21-year-old guy for no reason at all. And this guy that assaulted him had a police record as long as from my elbow to my fingers. And I want to know from Dr. Foster. You know, you quoted a while ago that the percentage was so minute with the guns. Well, on the commercial that Alveda and Wavy TV 10 is showing with guns that's been confiscated out of the schools, where did they come from? If that percentage is so minute, one gun in the school is one too many. We don't need to come together anymore and sit here in a roundtable discussion. We need to come together and say, let's put this program in place and this program in place and go from here.
All right, thank you. Dr. Foster, you want to respond to that?
Well, I think that she made the most valid point that could be made about it, and that is that one gun in school is too many guns in school. But I think that that's pretty easy to say, and I think we all would agree with that. But I think we've also got to realize that the kids that come to school leave home to get there. And if you wonder where the guns get there, they usually leave home with them, or they pick them up on the way in.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. This is something that we always hear whenever we do a story about a weapon that's confiscated in school. They say, well, why doesn't the school system do something, like put up a metal detector or something? Give us an idea of how much money the city of Virginia Beach spends every year on security just in schools. How much money?
Security in schools, Virginia Beach. If you looked at the effect of it, we have security guards in all of our schools. We have metal detectors in all of our schools. If you started to add into it what Ms. Brinkley mentioned, talking about the programs in our schools, you're easily talking about $4 or $5 million. $4
or $5 million just in the city of Virginia Beach.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's get a student perspective on this. A young man here in the back row. You're at Granby High School. Tell me a little bit about your own perspective. Are you aware that there are times where other students in school are bringing weapons? How common is it?
It's not very common at our school because, I mean, you don't see too many kids bringing guns to school because they know the consequences if they do bring the guns to school. But, I mean, in other schools, like the superintendent said, they probably do bring the guns and they do come from home. So.
Okay, first, I didn't ask your name. I'm sorry.
Oh, Ernest Mitchell.
Okay. We have discussed a little bit about some of the anger that young people have. Tell us a little bit about that. Do you share in that or not?
No. Personally, I'm not an angry person, so, you know, I don't get angry over things like that. But the other ones that do get angry, I think that it comes from a low self-esteem point of view. I mean, the ones that do get angry, self-esteem is low and everything, so it comes from the community too, so, you know.
All right, well, thanks very much for being with us. Appreciate you sharing your view, and we will continue with our discussion right after this.
Still ahead, a new approach to policing our streets.
Citizens are not fearful of the police. They talk to the police. They let us know what's going on.
Is it working? One community cracking down on crime says yes. The story when we return.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, not all people who begin a life of crime end it that way. Some are able to overcome a violent past and do really terrific things. One such man is from Portsmouth. His name is Nathan McCall. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to Nathan McCall a little bit later in the program. Actually, look at the story from him. It's an outstanding piece. We are able to look at that now.
Nathan McCall came home to Portsmouth last month to a hero's welcome, the author of a new book. It was a long road from troubled youth to a key to the city. Like some of his buddies who grew up in Cavalier Manor in the early 70s, Nathan McCall found a world of trouble. Breaking and entering, stick-ups, even shot a guy. And yet, other parts of his life were going well. He came from a good family, he was enrolled at Norfolk State. He needed a wake-up call, and he got one. In prison. Inside a prison cell, Nathan McCall began looking inside himself.
I guess the most important thing was that I discovered books, and I discovered books that were relevant to me.
Books helped Nathan McCall discover a world he hadn't known. He went back to college and on to a career in journalism, and now to this, admiration in his hometown for his own book.
I wrote it for black people, for my people in this city, in this area, in this country, because of what we're going through. I feel like I wrote it for white people, you know, because I find that many of them are struggling to try to understand what my people are going through.
But the streets win far more often than the books do. Nathan McCall's turnaround is the exception. He writes honestly of his own experiences, his anger, and the anger of other black men in America. While he doesn't pretend to have the answers, he does have a message that anything is possible, but only through hard work.
Individual responsibility, group responsibility. I think, blacks in the black community we're gonna have to roll up our sleeves, and we've got a lot of work to do. The things that whites can do, I think whites can confront their own prejudices as well, and open up the dialogue, and talk honestly about things.
Nathan McCall, the book is Makes Me Want to Holler. We can recommend that one to you. During the last commercial break, this gentleman in the front row says, Les, you're not really talking about solutions. I promised him I'd give him the opportunity. Okay, where are we going wrong here?
Well, I think he is talking about some solutions, but I think we're going to have to talk about the root cause of the problem.
Okay, first of all, let me interrupt by asking you who you are.
My name is Robert Lachey, and I work with the Park Place Ministries in Norfolk.
Okay, if you could give us a thumbnail sketch, we don't have a lot of time, about what you think those root causes are, and more importantly, what ought to be done.
Well, first of all, we're talking about a disproportionate number of crimes being committed by black males. A disproportionate number of black males are incarcerated. The United States has more people incarcerated than any other nation in the world. We have the highest crime rate than any other nation in the world. Okay, we've had a situation starting back of slavery, then discrimination, and then a war for civil rights, a passive war, if you will. And then we had turning our backs on it, benign neglect of the Nixon administration, then bashing the welfare mothers by the Reagan administration. Now it's a disgrace that Governor George Allen is not here tonight to see what we can do from a non-government standpoint, and he's the one that talks about the government not being involved and not being able to solve this problem. He's absolutely right, but we need to have people reaching out. We're working with programs. We work with children on one-on-one down in Park Place, helping them with their homework, teaching them good values, and it's working. And we have a waiting list of children, and we need people to participate, whether you're black or white, businesses, churches. They have to come together and provide people, not money, but
Thank
people.
You. Clearly that is the message, is that this is not only individual responsibility, but a group responsibility as well. I want to get another perspective by going to our panel.
Absolutely, Les. I want to talk to Howard Gwynn right now. You're Newport News Commonwealth's attorney, and you're one of those who helps to put the criminals behind bars here. What are we seeing, I guess, as a pattern? And we're talking about stopping the violence, and is it putting them behind bars the answer?
Well, that's part of the answer, and the solution to the problem obviously has to be a multifaceted one. But I'd like to comment on some of the things I've heard earlier today. And one of the things, I've been a prosecutor since 1982 in Newport News, and I'm from Newport News. And one of the things that is increasingly troublesome to me is how many young people become increasingly involved in crime. I think, as the student pointed out, a lot of kids in our community now have low self-esteem, low self-worth. So if a child does not value his or her own life, he certainly won't value mine. If a child does not value his or her own property, he's not going to value my property. And that is very troublesome to me. When I first started as an assistant Commonwealth's attorney in 1982, the most serious crime a child committed was maybe shoplifting or stealing a bike or stealing their car and going joyriding. The juvenile murderer or drug dealer was the rare exception rather than the rule. It's now becoming the rule. There's an old African proverb that says it takes an entire village to raise a child. And I think, regrettably, in Newport News and across the Commonwealth and across the country, that sense of community, that sense of all of us being responsible for our children has become lost. And children are left now to fend for themselves. And one of the most frightening things to me is to look into the eyes of a 17-year-old who's taken someone's life, and you see nothing. You see blanks, and you see a child with no remorse, no sense of the consequences of what he or she has done. And that's very frightening.
That's sad.
And I think it's time for all of us to take responsibility for that.
Very sad.
It's not a school problem, it's not a church problem, it's not a problem in the home, it's all of our problems. Because when a child goes bad, or a child has to be locked up, and there's nothing more distasteful for me than have to prosecute a 15-year-old and see him sentenced to the rest of his life in a penitentiary, when that child could be a doctor or a lawyer or president or superintendent of Virginia Beach schools or chief of police of Portsmouth or something else, when that child has lost his or her potential, all of us suffer for that, and all of us have lost.
I see the panelists are absolutely shaking their heads. We want to get all of you in because we want to make sure that your points are very well taken. We have to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this issue right after this.
One man fed up with crime decides he's not going to take it anymore and does something about it.
You ain't got to take it. You know, if you just stand up for what you believe in, you know, things will work out.
We'll have his heroic story when we come back.
Welcome back. When we left off, we were actually talking about a lot that's going on in order to reduce the crime. And now let's talk about some of the things we're doing in our neighborhoods. You know, most of us would agree violence in our society is an overwhelming problem, something to be tackled by large groups. But as Ava Hurdle tells us, she found out that individuals can make a difference if they really believe in something.
There's some of the drug dealers out here do carry guns.
Shattered windows surround Anthony Munden's Norfolk home, shattered after he called the police on drug dealers at his back door. He says several of them broke in and assaulted him.
One of them hit me with a broom on the hand, and then I got upset and got real mad. And then I started throwing things at them, and they started throwing things back, and then they tore up the house, the inside of the house, and left. And then they got outside and started throwing cinder blocks through the windows.
That was in January, and since then, Munden has stayed put after standing up for his beliefs.
It has made a difference. I don't see all these little young guys hanging around all on people's porches.
Anthony Munden waged a courageous crusade against crime, taking back his home and even his street. But in some neighborhoods, residents are working to ensure that their streets aren't attractive to the criminal element in the first place.
All the citizens are suffering.
Bayview Civic League President John Roger takes a mobile approach against abandoned buildings in his community.
Look at a nice neighborhood, and look what you've got here. It's an unsecured building. These are the ones that worry about. We normally get a hold of the police on these things and the health department to get them secured.
And he also jots down the location of eyesores like trash piles and even unlicensed and abandoned vehicles.
I live here, and you know, I get sick of it. You know, we work to keep our place clean, and so do most of the people here. And we're going to keep on working at it. Anything that causes deterioration in the neighborhood invites the criminal element in here.
The Old Town Civic League in Portsmouth is trying to keep the criminal element out with a new resident patrol program. Neighbors getting to know neighbors.
And they'll patrol their street randomly. Some weeks it'll be 10 hours a week, and other weeks it'll be less than that. But the randomness we feel is going to be effective because it's going to deter crime.
But residents are advised to report crime to the authorities.
If your instincts are just telling you that something is just not right, then start looking, being observant, do a little investigation. And if you see that is a crime that is happening or about to happen, then by all means, call the police right then and there.
That's it. Call the police right then and there. One of the policemen right now, Leslie Martinez, she is the police chief for Portsmouth. And Leslie, you see this all the time. This is nothing new to you. What do you see as some of the solutions to this?
Everything that's been said here tonight, and we can't solve it. One of our biggest problems in Portsmouth is we have so many people that have really joined together and are patrolling their neighborhoods, calling us with information, and now there's an expectation and we need to be able to help them. But you know, everybody in the audience has come up with a solution and it's acting on it. And the way we look at it is us helping them to act on some of the solutions.
So your police department actually has turned around a bit, I guess, since you came in last year.
Well, they were doing this before I got here. I wish I could take credit for it. They've increased the neighborhood watch, has gone from 3 to 53 in 3 years. And the people that are actively patrolling their neighborhood and that are calling in and helping other people in their neighborhood, I think is just constantly improving. I wanted to say one thing that I thought it was interesting that it was one of the young people in the audience that I thought said one of the better things today, and that was he said that they weren't bringing too many guns to his school because they knew the consequences. And I think a lot of the bills that are in the general legislative body one of the big things that helps the police is when we have a facility to take a juvenile to, when we have a treatment program we can take them to, whether it's a jail, whether it's negative or positive discipline. Otherwise, what we're doing is just contributing to the in and out of the door process. So you have to have tools and implements that the officers can use if they're going to respond to the people's problems that are in the neighborhoods.
Okay, Chief Martinez, thank you. You raised the issue of police and community partnerships. I want to get another perspective on that by going to our studio audience. Yes, sir.
I'm Captain Buzzy with Virginia Beach Police Department, and over 33 years of police experience, I've learned that police are not necessarily going to prevent crime. It takes a grassroots effort from the community. We've had certain areas in our city that have had problems, and once the community became involved and worked with the police agencies, we were able to solve those problems.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate you being here, and we will continue our discussion in just a moment.
Welcome back. We certainly appreciate all of you participating in our program tonight. We'd like to wrap up things by giving each of our panelists an opportunity to comment. Dr. Dye.
Well, I think we've touched on an awful lot of topics here and a lot of concerns, and I think our focus now needs to be on prevention and what we can do. I think we cannot overlook the significant positive role that the media can play in helping these situations. We focus too often on the negative effects of television, but there are an awful lot of positive effects.
Absolutely.
And we really need to look at utilizing that more often.
Mr. Gwynn.
Well, I think obviously prevention is a large part of the solution to the problem, but one thing that's really important is, I think it's important for everyone to understand that police and prosecutors and government can only do so much, that the real solution to the problem of crime is the community. Because unless and until the community stands up and say, we're not going to take this anymore, and we're going to do whatever has to be done to drive these drug dealers out of our neighborhoods, to drive these persons that are making us prisoners in our own homes out of our neighborhoods, unless until we have people like Annie Williams in the audience, who I know from Newport News, or Catherine Grayson from Newport News, getting up in drug dealers' faces and saying, this community is going to be safe for my child, nothing's going to happen.
Enough is enough.
Enough
Linda
is
Martinez.
I agree with everything ever been said. The way I look at it is, if you take one gun off the street with the Buy Gun Back program and it saves one child accidental shooting's life, then that program is good and it's helping. If one mother who's against crime influences her children and keeps them out of crime, it's a program that's working, and it's us acting on these, instead of just talking, we're acting.
Absolutely. Dr. Fawcett.
Children have taught me very clearly throughout my experience that they're the ones that know the answer to getting guns and violence out of their schools, and quite frankly, a lot of it in terms of out of their homes. And the jobs that we have, whether it's Dr. Dye or Commonwealth's Attorney, the Chief of Police, any of us in our roles, be it government or in communities, is to make sure that we empower children with the self-worth that it takes to deal with the problems, and that we truly support them in their lives, whatever their endeavors might be. So I'm going to tell you, in Virginia Beach, I'm convinced we're going to solve this problem in our schools when our kids have had enough. They're going to step forward and say, enough's enough, and we're going to get guns and drugs and alcohol and all of this stuff out of our schools.
Dr. Fawcett, thank you. I want to thank all of you who have come here tonight. I know everybody didn't get a chance to speak, and all of you who tried to call in couldn't get through. This town hall is only one step. It's just part of the process. We obviously need more town halls, because it is amazing how quickly the time went by, and so few of you got the chance to say what you came here to say. We will have more of these. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all of you at home. Again, I think one thing we have seen is that the solution only comes by everyone getting together and beginning. We thank all of you for watching. Good night.